Welcome to the Wheelbarrow Profits Podcast, where you get multifamily investing made real. Learn from top players in the real estate investment world as they share their secrets with you and discover proven strategies on apartment investing that actually work. To learn more about Wheelbarrow Profits, visit jakeandgino.com, your one-stop shop for everything multifamily. Now to your hosts, Jake and Gino.
Hello, everybody. This is Jake Stenziano, host of the Wheelbarrow Profits Podcast, here with my co-host, the best-selling author of Wheelbarrow Profits, organic farmer, father of 6, serial entrepreneur, and multifamily land baron, Gino Barbaro. How's it going today?
Wow, that is a long and good intro, Jake. I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing great. So today's very special guest is Adam Mitchell. Adam is the founder of All Out Solutions, an online marketing service provider based out of Mahopac, New York. Adam's company helps small businesses reach their full potential by gaining customers through inbound marketing strategies. In this podcast, Adam is going to explain how the correct marketing approach can grow your business. Many real estate investors are technicians, and they understand that apartments are great for building wealth, but tend to forget that it's a business and not just a passive investment. This show will help to identify ways to better market your multifamily portfolio. This podcast aligns with the Manage Right portion of our framework. So, Adam, welcome to the show.
Jake, Gino, thanks for having me here, guys. I'm really excited to be part of this podcast, and hopefully I'll be able to give one small gold nugget to your audience and be able to serve them. So really excited to be here. Thanks for the opportunity.
Well, we're thrilled to have you here, and I just want to piggyback off the intro a little bit and say, how many small businesses do you see that you're working with that are truly maximizing their online marketing efforts currently before you start working with them?
Yeah, that's a great question, Jake. I think if we're talking about small businesses in general, I'm going to go right out there and I'm going to say almost none. Almost none of them are meeting the potential of what they could be doing. And unfortunately, the bad news is that the great majority of them are almost completely oblivious to the potential that they could be having and how they could be serving their own business, maximizing their business with specific online solutions that are available to them at such an amazingly affordable cost. It's almost sometimes even sad to see the potential miss there. So hopefully, we can turn that around for some of your audience members.
Well, I think it's the do-it-yourselfer mentality a lot of these guys have, where they think, I can just do it and don't really need to pay for it, or whatever the case may be. But I thought that's what you're going to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Adam, why don't you give us a little background about yourself? How long have you been in business, and what's your story leading up to this point?
Sure. Yeah, I'll keep it quick, but to give you some color. 1996 really is when I built my first small business website. It was for a mountain bike company that I was running the marketing for. And at that point, I started to really see both the enormous potential that web-centered technology had, and that how, as the web was emerging into the lexicon of small business, the potential that it had, but also the disruptive potential. And this is really something that's important for your listeners to understand, is how disruptive that it can actually be for your business. I stepped away from manufacturing, mountain bike manufacturing, the bicycle industry in 2000, and really kind of following an entrepreneurial spirit that I had, always had in me since I was a kid. Followed my other passion, which was martial arts, became a professional martial artist in 2000, still running my own websites, building my own stuff, and really kind of keeping control of that part of my business and trying to maximize every little new technology. I guess I'm a bit of a geek in that regard. But then the big shift happened for me in 2006 when my teacher in Japan, he's an old man, asked me to work with a couple of students, one in Bermuda and one actually in Jacksonville. And I really didn't know how I was going to be able to do that. And when I sat down, I, of course, didn't want to say no to my teacher. And I wanted to be able to serve these people that wanted to learn the art that I was studying under him. And I was certainly honored to have been asked to take on this responsibility. So I looked to what was available on the web, and at the time, YouTube was still in its infancy. The WordPress platform had just emerged. I mean, there were so many, we're talking MySpace, and people were just coming on to MySpace back then. So content delivery was really almost, it was just not a lot, just a small percentage of small businesses were doing it. I mean, a very small percentage. So what I decided to do was to create an e-learning tool for these students. And I sat down, and myself and one of the guys that worked at my martial arts school as a teenager, we decided just to dig in. And 3 months later, we created a very rudimentary e-learning platform. We launched it, and it went live. And the first people that chimed in was a martial arts school from Boston, and we completely didn't expect it. And at that moment, I realized that what is usually a conventional brick and mortar business that draws from about a 15-mile radius of accessible market just went global, just like that. And I realized then, it's like, while a lot of people can say, hey, you've got to be there, you got to, get FaceTime with these students, you got to spend time on the mat working with them. I was serving an entire school in Boston and the instructor there and helping them learn what it was that I was teaching. Now, I obviously fulfilled the responsibility that my teacher asked for, but what happened was fast compounded growth, and I started getting students from all over the world. Fast forward 3 years from there, I had training groups in Jakarta, Sao Paulo, Milwaukee, San Diego, in Denmark, and all over the world. It was, and then I started traveling to teach seminars internationally. So it really catapulted my career as a martial artist. But what happened in '08 when the economy took a dip, I'm sure you guys remember that, I started to have small business owners come to me, saw what I did for my little martial arts school that was now a global martial arts school. And by the way, this was the first fully interactive online martial arts, online school on the internet. We were the pioneers there. And the content that we were delivering was live streaming. We were paying up over $300 to $600 a month for our stream. Back then, evangelical churches and the government were pretty much the only ones streaming. But I started to have other small businesses come to me and ask me, hey, how'd you do that? And can you do that for my business? And sure enough, I took that rudimentary platform that I had, that we had scaled a little bit forward, and replicated it for their business. And then I started to see, hey, you know what? This is possible. This is possible for that guy who's that laid off union carpenter who's now running an online school, helping single moms fix stuff at home. Another guy who is a beverage coordinator for a large restaurant group, helped him create a school for teaching wine appreciation, and then on and on. And it just continued to evolve. And I started to see that it wasn't just me; it was everybody could take advantage of this online potential that I always knew was there. And yeah, so that was pretty much it. And then it just started to snowball. I started having more and more people coming to me asking them how I could, how they could change their business model to suit the evolving internet.
Well,
that's pretty much
interesting. Well, that's a great point that you bring up, because you're talking, a global business with your martial arts stuff. But even in our multifamily business, a lot of it used to be it was always location, right? Yeah. So you had to be at a busy intersection, or you had to be very, very visible to 4-lane highway to get people to rent from you. Okay, but what we've seen with the emergence of the internet and online marketing is that we now look at it as vicinity, because you could be in a good area but off the beaten path a little bit. And because you have a good online marketing platform, you're able to reach those folks who may have not known you were there before. So it's actually added value to some of these apartment complexes that are a little bit off the beaten path, but still in the good zip codes. So that what you just said really spoke to me there. But that's great.
Yeah. So let's kind of dive into serving the real estate investor, the agency owner, the broker, the agent, and even the someone who wants to take a career shift and move away from what it is that they're doing and get into real estate. I think when we're talking about the internet, two things, and if there's one thing that I can really offer, as far as a couple of paradigm shifts, I'm hoping to have. I hope your listeners have a couple of paradigm shifts. If they don't have these already, then now's the time. The first is that everything is centered on relevancy. Your website and all of the functionality that you're putting into your web presence, your online presence, has to be relevant to the needs of the audience that you're trying to attract. And this is a very important thing to understand. The next is timeliness. You have to make sure that you are there at the right time when someone's looking. So the reason I'm bringing this up and right up front is because as people listen, as we go forward and we go deeper into this, there might be a couple things that I say that are, to use the word again, disruptive. But I want people to understand that when it comes to applying web technology and how they're going to use the internet for their business model, they have to think, again, relevancy, timeliness, but how am I going to be able to scale my website and what I'm doing online forward into the constantly evolving ecosystem of the internet and their business? So this is a really important thing that I'm going to be hitting on throughout the interview.
So Adam, Jake and I have purchased a lot of what we call mom and pop apartment owners. We purchased a lot of those properties. First thing we see is they don't have a website, or they have a really terrible website. How does a website would serve these apartment owners? How would it serve them if they had a really good website?
Gino, let's flip that question upside down, and let's say, instead of saying how is the website going to serve these real estate owners, let's ask how is the real estate owner's website going to serve their audience, their customers, and whoever it is that they're trying, whatever their business model is monetizing. A website can't and shouldn't be, and unfortunately, I did a little homework before the interview, and I went around to a bunch of different demographics, both local and abroad, and I looked at agency and broker, property manager, and investment agency websites. And unfortunately, the great majority of these websites are what I call brochure sites. They're basically, threefold brochures online, and that's it. They're not updated. They have contact information and a little bit about how, a little bit about themselves, a little bit about agent backgrounds, broker backgrounds, history of the agency, whatever. They're brochures. They're not resources. And the way for an agency or a broker to really go at and really make the best use of their online resources is to say, what benefit can I best serve my customer, my clients with? And how can my website be a resource for them versus an announcement for me? So we really want to flip that paradigm upside down, and we have to understand that right now, the internet is changing the way that conventional business is done. And I know we hear that, and it sounds very cliche, but it's very true. You really have to think, like, let's talk about how we can make a website as a resource versus just an announcement. Take, for example, LendingTree. Think about how disruptive that was and how that changed the discussion of real estate and how people are buying and how people are looking at banks and how people are getting money. I mean, back when I bought my first house, my wife and I went on LendingTree, and just the concept. Now, I know there's a lot of garbage and stuff, and there's a lot to be said about this, but the concept of the model where the control and the decision-making process is put in the hands of the consumer versus the other way around. And when we're scaling our website and our business model forward, and we're building, we're making the internet more and more and more of a priority in our business model, we have to think about, okay, what are the applications that we're going to be using in our website, and what are also understanding algorithms. Now, I'm not going to get too far into the tech space because I don't want to discourage any of your listeners, but this is some it's kind of important stuff that you have to understand. How's the internet looking at your website? How is it finding you? And when your prospect lands on your website and they're attracted to what it is that you're offering and what you're telling them, how are you serving them and what resource are you providing for them there? There's some stuff trending right now in the real estate space, such as some stuff that I discovered, such as digital signature solutions. And those are things that go on to like paperless transactions, things like this, and the expediency of the transaction, the expedience of property discovery. We're starting to see more and more things like virtual tours and three-dimensional tours on on apartment owner websites, and really cutting down the labor of the transaction is really something that a lot of is really the direction that the industry, and not just this industry, but most, if not all, industries are moving into. So I think to answer your question, Gino, and to kind of come back, is really looking at your website and saying, how is this serving as a resource versus just an announcement? Because at the end of the day, no offense, I don't care about you. I care about what my needs are right now. How are you going to be there to deliver and overexceed what my expectations, what my needs are of you? And that's what our website has to do.
That's a great way to look at it. I mean, even something as simple as online payments so the person does not have to maybe come into that rental office or whatever the case may be. That's serving and making that person's life easier. I think it's a great way to look at it.
Absolutely.
And even, Jake, you can point to the fact that you can have the online maintenance requests. So if someone has a problem with one of their apartments, they can have an online maintenance request. You can have a calendar on there, a calendar of events. All these things are just ways to serve the tenant. So I'm actually thinking about other ways right now as Adam is speaking. I'm like, wow, that's a cool idea.
Same
so
here.
I hope you're taking notes, Jake, because I think we're going to have to implement some of this stuff after this call is over.
It's really good.
Jake, I think this is, I'm going to swing back to a word that you dropped on the introduction and maybe to bring some clarity to this. It's called inbound marketing, which is the marketing model that I try to work with my clients and teach to them and to put into their business. And I think it's really important right now, based on the topic that we're discussing, to introduce your listeners to this, and it's really important to understand. So inbound marketing basically is a funnel, the complete sales and customer longevity. It's a sales funnel and keeping your customers, when you have them, delighted and on board and excited, and your number one promoter of your business, your brand, and your message. So how does this work? Unfortunately, a lot of websites that we're going to see in the real estate space, the ones that are savvy, the ones that are getting out there and trying to be a resource through, sign up for our online newsletter or click here to get a quote or any of this stuff. These are like really low barrier of entry things, and they're not fully thought out. When we talk about inbound marketing, we have to really think about both two things. One is the persona. Who is it that you're going after? Are you going after multi-apartment investors, or are you going after small families who are looking for residential homes? So, I think everybody pretty much who's listening to this understands who their persona is, but I would encourage them to take the time and sit down and write the story of that persona, right down to every little element of their life. The difference is, here's a good example. I worked for a yard main. I did one of my clients, a yard maintenance company, big company too, and they did landscaping. They wanted to move away from the Dutchess County, New York clients that they had been serving for the last 20 years. And they wanted to break into the Westchester, New York clients, and they wanted to get more into the horse farms and working in the big horse farms in North Salem, New York. It's a big, now for your listeners who don't know this area, Dutchess County is a little more upstate. A lot of working class families. It's pretty nice. There's some affluent neighborhoods. You get into northern Westchester, you're talking a completely different customer. Now, this client of mine, they were really they were pretty web savvy. I was helping them. I was training them. I was teaching them. They were getting out there. They were really doing some great marketing campaigns. But what we discovered was that the vocabulary that the prospects that they were going after were using in their searches was completely different than the existing clients they had. So all their search queries were completely different. Some people might be typing in, we're looking for a landscaper, but in northern Westchester, they were looking for yard maintenance. So they would never have landed on local search which is where you want to be, especially in the real estate business, had it not been for the work of sitting down, writing the story of the persona that you want to attract. And then you take that story and you put it into your content pieces, you put it into your blog articles, you put it into your social media syndications, you put it into your promotional campaigns that you're trying to go after for that specific population. So this is really important. This way, once someone becomes aware in the buyer's journey, when they say, hey, you know what, I need property, or I need to find a home here, you want to attract a specific persona, that persona that you're selling to your website. You want to get them to your landing page, where you then convert them to a lead. Now, you're going to convert them to a lead through a series of call to actions. And I really want to imply everybody on this podcast who's listening to this really needs to understand that no time should be wasted online with any activity centered on your business without there being a call to action. Do not put anything up on Facebook. Don't put anything on Instagram. Don't put anything on your blog unless you are taking who you want consuming that content piece to the next step. Okay, so you've bought them a drink. Now what? Well, you're going to take them over to the pool table. You take them over to the pool table. Now what? Well, you walk them over to the jukebox or the music, whatever. But the thing is that you want your start once they land on your website, they're saying, okay, I'm attracted to you. How should I listen to you? Why should I listen to you? You now need to win over my trust. And if they just land on a brochure page where there's a phone number and a pretty face, it's not serving the potential that's there. Money's being left on the table. So we need to offer that persona, that potential customer, a low barrier of entry content piece in exchange for their contact. So if I say to you, I want to give you a report on Mahopac, New York, or where the best homes are, or it's about them. It's not about me. It's not about how I sold 20 homes in 2 days in Mahopac, New York. It should be something very centered on that specific persona, using the speak that persona has. And they're directed to a landing page where you're going to serve them with a low barrier of entry, very easy to consume content piece that delivers value, over exceeds their expectation of when they landed on your website, and then wins over your trust. That way they're going to go to you. And if you like, and by the way, what happens here now is that they give they provide you with their email address in exchange for you emailing them on an automated email system that content piece. But then you have to, once they receive that, you have fulfilled their expectations. You need to go one step further. And you need to deliver them a secondary content piece, which is something that says, hey, look, I know I sent this to you, but I thought you also might be interested in a list of some of the best, landscapers in Mahopac, New York, or some of the best, whatever that next step is, but something else, a little extra garnish just to sweeten the trust, just to build that trust a little bit more. And then they're going to continue to be interested in you because you've served them. Then from there, you go to the next content piece. And so they've given you their email address. They've now turned from a lead to a prospect. They've said, okay, I give you permission, contact me. Then from here, we can put them into an email sequence. And this sequence can't just be directed to anybody and everybody. It has to be directed to that specific persona and audience group. And then you can put them in. That is the correct time, Jake, when that persona, that customer, that prospect should be put onto an email list. Now, this is where the magic happens. They receive 2 emails when they get that value-centered piece that you give them, that white paper, that quick report, or something that's going to help them in their search. You're also going to send them what's called an indoctrination email. And this is where a lot of people miss. And if you guys can walk away from one thing from this interview, this might just be it. When you send them that first content piece, you also want to send them an indoctrination email that comes directly from you, and it says, "Hey, Jake, Adam here. Thanks for signing up to to receive this content piece of this report from me. Just so you know, you're going to be receiving it a couple minutes after this email, and I want you to also, if you like it, I want you to hop on over to our to our Facebook page. Join us over there because I'm always talking about stuff that's relevant to what your needs are. We also have a lot of great blog content that's going on, and you want to indoctrinate them. You want to get them, you want to make them feel good. You want to say, hey, I'm contacting you personally and I'm extending a thank you. And please call on me. By the way, I'd like to send you, keep an eye on your email box because the day after tomorrow, I'm going to send you 2 of my best blog pieces. I'm going to go into my blog and I'm going to find a couple of articles that I know are going to really help you in your search. So in 2 days, I'm going to shoot you out that email. I hope that's okay. I hope to, hear from you soon. Take care, and would love to hear what you think about my article that I'm going to be sending you in 5 minutes. This is very easy stuff to do. This is very easy. Constant Contact, MailChimp, all the email service providers have technology like this. And once we get there, we're in the middle area of that inbound pipeline. We now have them. They're converting now to a contact, to a full-fledged contact. And who do you think that they're going to call on when they're actively now looking to buy a house? Are they going to call on the person who's, has their face on a business card that's thumbtacked in a coffee shop, or someone's face who's on a shopping cart at A&P, or someone who's already served them and has delivered trust and has served the needs that they have right now? Really what happens is we get kind of into some pretty tricky and magical marketing stuff, which is, it's the reciprocity trigger. You've already given stuff to me. You've over-delivered. You've really helped me out, man. I'm going to call on you when I need help. So that's where we're at. This is like that first step, and this is the inbound funnel. This is what I think a lot of your listeners really need to take into consideration when they start to build an online campaign of any level, whether it's their corporate site, whether it's their blog, or even whether it's their social media properties.
So you've really touched on some high-level stuff here. You've talked about the inbound strategy.
Yep.
You've talked about the website serving the customers, not just being a brochure.
Yeah.
So because we have a variety of listeners out there, what about, say, it's a small, someone's getting started in multifamily, right? And they don't have a website yet. What is the first step to chunk it down to a little more simpler terms, getting in and just getting going with just an online marketing strategy before they build off into the inbound stuff and get a little more in depth? Any advice there for those folks?
Absolutely. The first question that I would have, Jake, is if I was sitting at the table right now with that listener, I would say, what is your number one goal? What are you trying to accomplish, and what's the message that you're trying to get to your audience? So can you answer that for me?
I can answer that for you. Let's say I'm starting out and I'm buying duplexes and triplexes and little properties. My first goal would be to try to rent them out, and my second goal would be to try to maybe get investors to partner with me and expand my portfolio. So let's take it from that perspective.
Great. So these are two completely different personas that we're speaking to. One is investors, and the other is renters. So we want to have a website, a basic website, and a website that immediately is if I don't have, like, to go back to Jake's question, if I don't have a website set up right now, then it's so easy and so affordable to find someone to build a website for you. Now, let's talk about this because it's a question I get asked a lot. It's something that I get hit with. If you are not going to nurture and grow, monitor, maintain, and manage your website, then my suggestion is you don't have one. Think about it. A lot of people will put a website together, and I think we're coming out of this age, but it's still, you still have that traditional brick and mortar mindset where, all right, I'll have a college kid who's interning build my website for me. But yet that website is the world's window into your business. It's the doorway into your business. It's where the majority of people are spending the majority of their time. And if you're putting a website up and you're not nurturing it like every other aspect of your business, or at least inside your marketing, if you're not using your website for any productivity means, you're just using it as a banner and just to, like, be there. Well, what you're actually going to be doing is you're going to be moving your business backwards, and that's true for your web presence as well as your social media presence. Don't create a Facebook page just because everybody else has a Facebook page and you think you should have one, because all you're doing is you're giving people a platform to bitch about you on. The same thing with your website. If you have a website and you're not using it, and you're not using it for marketing and you're not getting it indexed in Google, then you're going to continually. Here's an example. In April, Google changed their algorithm so that websites that were not mobile friendly, what's called responsive, meaning sometimes you go on a website on your iPhone and it's a completely different interface than when you see it on your desktop. That's because that website is responsive. It changes to suit the parameters of that handheld device or your tablet. Google said, if your website isn't responsive by this time in April, you will be downgraded. You will be ranked significantly lower than you're being graded right now because you're non-responsive and you're not providing the best possible customer experience or user experience for our searches. So that's a premium example of how if you're not nurturing that website, you're damaging your business, because a lot of businesses got damaged when that happened.
The Google monster ate them.
Yeah, well... Yeah, I mean, they didn't eat them, but people who weren't, people who left it to that intern 7 years ago to build their website and they just haven't looked at it, or it's always this, oh yeah, well I got to find someone to update that or something like that. It's like you're really doing damage to your business. So you have to make it a priority to nurture, manage, maintain, update, and really maximize that website. You want your website, if you're going to set up a website, if you don't want to outsource it, if you don't want to hire an outside agency to get your website set up for you, then I would encourage you to look at such platforms as Weebly.com, Weebly, Squarespace, or Wix. Now, I like Weebly. I like Weebly because you're able to, when you build your website, if you want to migrate your website off of Weebly's servers, because when you build the website, it's basically like, it's drag and drop technology. It's so easy. When you sign up for a Weebly account, you're paying like $8 a month. By the way, there's no affiliate. I'm not associated with Weebly, and they're a solid bulletproof platform to build a fast and easy website on that will always be updated. The websites are responsive. They're mobile friendly, and they're extremely easy to update. And the best of all is that you have blogging capability and social media integration that allows your website to be seen and indexed. This is what's important. Your website has to be indexed by the search engines, which means every time you make an update or you do anything to your website, it's a call out to the search engines that says, hey, we're live, we're organic, we exist. This means to the search engines, when someone puts in an organic query or they type in a search for something that your website has relevancy to, they're going to put those people, they're going to put, like, where's the discussion happening? Where's the updates happening? Where's the new, fresh content? And if your website is being continually indexed, that means that your website's showing fresh content. That means it's going to have more value to their customers' searches. So they're going to point your website to that customer. This is why that's important, that you don't just put a website up there and forget about it. Otherwise, you're going to be ranked below your competitors.
So very affordable, and you're not hiring another person, and you're not putting somebody else on salary. It sounds like a winner.
It is a winner, Jake. But you have to know what is your cost time trade off. Creating a website on Weebly is easy to do. The templates are there, but do you have the existing content? Do you have the existing text? Do you have the time to do the blogging? What areas of that website development are you going to outsource and have someone else do for you? So there's a trade-off there that has to be considered.
Yeah.
Adam, you spoke about social media. I mean, what types of social media do you think the average apartment investor owner should be actually looking and spending their time on?
It swings right back to the personas, Gino. If you take the time to write out the ideal renter, who do you want renting your apartments? What's their income? What's their daily story? What's their names? What church do they belong to? How are they speaking? What are they saying? Who are they involving themselves? Where are they engaging online? Because you want your service, your space, your apartments to be seen by them. So it goes right back to personas, and then discovering where are those personas. So those investors for that website that we were talking about, they're going to be in a completely different place than a new family. A husband and wife in their late 20s, both professionals. They decided to have children in their, later on in their mid-30s so they could develop their career. The household income is over 150. They're not looking to buy right now. They're saving money. They've got mutual funds. They're very responsible. Okay, hey, you know what? These are probably people who are going to be paying their bills. So, I don't know. You guys know better than I do, but you have to create those personas, and then you have to discover where those personas are.
I'd take that person as a renter. They sound good to me.
They sound good? All right. So we gotta find out, hey, is that what is that persona? What does that woman do? Well, it ends up that woman, she's involved in fashion. She has her own boutique, and they live in the suburbs. Okay, well, she's going to be on Pinterest. They're both going to be on Facebook, but here's an important thing to understand, Gino, when we talk about social media. Really, again, here's another gold nugget that I want everybody to kind of understand. When we talk about social media, Facebook is everything in the past. Twitter is everything textual in the present. It's the speak, it's the words, it's what I'm looking at right now, what I'm doing right now. Instagram, this is what I'm looking at visually right now. Periscope is emerging fast. I don't think it's anything that your audience really needs to focus on right now other than the real estate agency owners and the brokers. The brokers' Periscope can be incredibly powerful for. And we could talk about that later. In fact, if we want to do a follow-up, or even if any of your listeners are brokers and they want to know how Periscope can serve them, guys, if it's all right, maybe I'll create a micro course on Periscope, and we can put it just in the jakeandgino.com, something that you can offer just for your listing agents, brokers out there, and agency owners who are listening to this. That'd happy to put that together for you. Yeah, that would be cool. But to kind of swing back, Facebook, if you're going to put up Facebook, you have to remember everything is in the past. When we talk about Twitter and Instagram, everything is in the now. It's happening right now. That stuff moves down that timeline in seconds, and it gets buried, it gets stacked on. And then Pinterest is in the future. What do I want? What am I looking at? Like what's sexy? What's hot? What do I want to be? Where do I want to go? What do I want to look like? So when we're building our campaigns and when we're saying, okay, I want to attract this persona, and we got to figure out where they are when it comes to social media, well, that's how we're going to do it. That's our starting point. If we're going to go Facebook, that's the past. Twitter, Instagram, it's now. Do you have the time? Do you have the resources to do that? And Pinterest is in the future. But there's more, too. There's a lot more to it.
No, here's the thing. I know, okay, there's social media out there. I didn't realize those are huge differences between each one of those platforms. It's really informative.
So let's do a quick, okay, well, how can I use them then? Facebook is a great opportunity for brokers to use case studies on. This is stuff that's in the past. This is how our agency has served someone just like you. And the good news is it's very easy inside of Facebook to create what's called a pixel. Okay, so this header pixel is something that you actually embed into landing pages that, as I just explained to you, that persona, when they become attracted to your website, there's a specific page that attracts them. It might be price differences in listings. So they might go to a specific, I'm looking for a house between $250 to $350. Okay, that's a specific persona. It's certainly a different persona than someone who's looking at properties $1 million and over, right? That's going to send them to a specific landing page that's going to serve them. That landing page is going to offer them a content piece. Now, here's where the social media comes in, guys. Your developer will put a Facebook pixel inside that landing page, and that pixel is going to be working in the background, generating a profile of that person based on their activity on Facebook. So it's going to associate that person's Facebook account. I know in some way it's creepy, but you got to think of the marketing and profit potential that exists here. That person lands on that landing page looking for a house between $350,000 to $400,000. That's going to speak to a very specific persona that we've already drawn up. That lookalike pixel, that pixel that's on that header of that landing page, is going to create information called a lookalike audience inside of your Facebook ad account. Then when you create case study ads for people who are looking for homes between $350,000 to $400,000, those case studies will be only visible to that lookalike audience created from the people who are going to that landing page on your website. Now, I know this sounds incredibly complex, and it's like, look, dude, I don't have time in my day to do any of that. But the good news is, once you figure it out, it only takes minutes to create. And it only takes, a couple, maybe, you could find a good developer to create that one campaign, that landing page, embed that pixel in there, get your Facebook funnel setting up, couple $100. It's done, and it's running 24/7 for you. So this is one way to use Facebook in the past. This is what I mean by in the past. Case studies, how we've served our clients, how we can, people just like you, how we've made their purchasing, their real estate purchasing experience like dreamlike, super easy, super efficient, and we've just, we've delivered, we've over-delivered. So that's one example.
I could jump in and talk about apartment rentals, let's say. Could we use it, for instance, the case study being testimonials? If we got testimonials from our renters saying, Jake and Gino run an awesome apartment complex, they take care of our maintenance, such and such. Could you use that Facebook that way?
I think you could. I think the video testimonials, video trumps text. Remember that. Mm-hmm. Video is very, very important. And any video testimonial that you can get, you want to make sure that, remember what I said, you follow that up with a call to action. You preface it with how this testimonial is going to serve you. So if I'm that prospect, I'm looking for a $400,000 home for my young family. My wife, we've been married for 5 years. We have 2 small children. We're looking to buy a home now around $400,000. I want to hear a testimonial from a couple standing in front of a camera who just bought a house for $375,000 from Gino, or for someone who's renting an apartment that's within my budget. And the apartment that they're living in now has helped them save more. Has lessened their stress level, has made them spend more family bonding time together. Everything that speaks to that persona stack that you have, or that specific persona group. So you can really craft that testimonial around the benefits that apartment customer seeker, the person who's looking for an apartment, what their needs are. Instead of just saying, Gino's apartments are awesome and Gino's the best guy, really, I don't care about Gino. I care about my needs being served right now. And if I can connect with another couple who has a young family who Gino really helped, okay, well now I have trust in this guy because of the social proof, because of the trigger of social proof. Other people are saying it, so it must be true. This is really important. Hey, while I'm speaking about that, getting your people to speak about you on Google is very important. Getting someone to write those testimonials, I can't tell you in local searches how important that is. Sure, there's a lot of websites out there that grade and rank and people kind of like Yelps and stuff like that inside the real estate space, but I can't impress on you enough the importance for your business, for your listings, to have your customers, your existing clients write about you on Google. Really important stuff. Get that social proof going. Swing it back around to the testimonials. I would really encourage your listeners to really try to set up look, everybody has the power of video in their back pocket, front pocket, purse, or in their, the center console of their car. It's HD, it's cinema quality, and all you got to do is pull it out and say, hey, would you mind just speaking to, I got another couple out there, would you mind giving a quick, not like a testimonial, but talking a little bit about your experience with me?
Man, I just, Gino, we got some work to do. Adam, I appreciate that big slice of humble pie right there, because I know, based on everything you said, we could definitely improve our websites. Wow, it's a lot of good information there.
Well,
but really, Gino, hey, look, guys, again, I can't impress on you the importance of prefacing that testimonial, that video, even if it's a textual testimonial, prefacing it with Gino or Jake, if you guys are the agents, or it's your property that you're trying to rent out, and you do, hey, Gino here, I'd like to share with you the story with Mary and Greg, two of my two people who live in my apartments right now, and I want to tell you, I want them to tell you a little bit about their story and their experience when they were trying to find an apartment between $1,500 and $1,700, and how they found me, and let's hear from them. Boom. And then it goes to their video. So you're speaking directly to that persona, that 15 to 1700 a month customer. And you make testimonials that speak to these individual groups. Put them on your landing pages, put them into your Facebook campaigns, put them into your social media spaces, speaking directly to that audience.
It's great.
Did I answer your question, Gino?
You did.
Awesome.
I'm just writing notes down here. I'm just trying to figure out.
I got it. This has been informative. I know. It's crazy. Do you have any other questions for Adam, Gino?
The only other thing was, if you could recommend any, websites to any, investors, let's say websites that me and Jake like to use. We like to use CrowdSpring, 99 Designs, anything that the average real estate investor could really use.
Tons of solutions out there, guys, and it really comes down to what your individual needs are. There is a solution for every challenge that you can think of. There's a solution online. And the good news is that there's somebody there ready, willing, and 100% capable of fulfilling that solution and delivering for you. It takes a little time, it takes a little knowledge. But you need to remove yourself from that total control. I'm going to do everything. I'm going to create my website. I'm going to manage my properties. I'm going to take care of my taxes. I'm going to. The good news is that the web is completely is dominated by the crowd. We've heard all these new terms: crowdfunding, crowdsourcing, so on and so forth. And really, crowd lending. Go back to LendingTree. I use that example. It's a perfect example of how now you have complete control. We have there's a graphic artist in my community that charges an incredibly large amount of money for the work that he does. But the reality is that his business model is so old, it's so antiquated. It's in the 1980s. An investor who wants to start his investment agency, or a property owner who wants to list his apartments, or a real estate agency or a broker wants to expand or even start franchising out their business model. They want to create a new logo. Let me ask you, which sounds more enticing? Going to the local graphic artist and not trying to knock these guys, but they got to get on board. Going to them and saying, okay, well, I'll have a concept created for you in 2 weeks, and then we can start to go, how much is it going to cost? Well, it's going to be probably around $2,200 to $2,800, depending, but that's just to have the concept done. Or you can go on to something, a crowdsource group like 99 Designs or CrowdSpring, and you can put, for a fraction of that cost, let's say let's just split it right in half, $1,000. Put up your bid, put it up online, tell them websites that inspire you, other businesses that inspire you, that you want to have your logo or your concept kind of look alike, your business model, what it is that you want, the kind of customer that you want to attract, and you put it up there. Within hours, you will have creators from around the world submitting their ideas onto a palette. Within half the time that graphic artist told you your logo, the concept would be developed, half the time, you will have 200 concepts from creators all over the world competing against one another for a fraction of the cost. Now, you start to drill those concepts down, you weed out the ones you don't like, some of the concepts you do like, you communicate with those creators, say change this to this color, maybe move this line over here, and they'll do the work for you, and they are competing for your money. You think about the power that one concept has, and we amplify it, and we put that same concept, that same paradigm, that same model of doing business into everything, and you see the complete landscape of just about every industry changing at breakneck speed. And that's what's going on right now. Look, the internet is really, if we can walk away from this podcast with this paradigm shift here, is really what I want to offer. The internet and the potential, both disruptive and enormously monetizable potential, is a tsunami that hasn't landed on the shore yet, but we see it. We see it right now on the horizon. The massive tsunami is coming. Now, there are people who are selling life jackets and surfboards, and they're making a ton of money on it right now. But that's what they're doing. The wave hasn't hit yet. It hasn't crashed. There are people right now who are paddling out to that wave to surf it, and they're going to be legendary, and they're going to be creating legacies and huge potential. Huge. I mean, $24 million in 24-hour launches. That was 6 years ago. That's not even what they're doing now. Think about that. But then there's also people who are running for the hills, running for safety. They're going to come back, and they're going to be completely taken over. And they're saying, well, I don't have time for that right now. You need to have FaceTime. You need to. But the problem is that real estate is going to be getting sold inside of virtual reality within 10 years. This isn't just me saying this. It's from the research I was doing. There's so many different things that are emerging inside technology that are going to be disruptive to the real estate space. The number one thing that you can do right now is grab a wetsuit, grab a surfboard, and start paddling. When you build that website, keep in front of you always, how can I scale this to be the best possible resource for my clients, my renters, fellow investors, or anybody who I'm trying to attract? I'm trying to get them there. Once they land on my site, what resource? How am I serving them? How am I winning their trust? And if you stay on top of the emerging technology inside of the real estate space, whatever industry you're in, through what applications are best serving people, if you're constantly listening, you're listening to the ground and you're hearing what's shaking, what's being disruptive, you'll be able to stay ahead of the curve, and you'll be able to serve those clients and those audience groups to the best possible potential.
Well, it's funny because you said that there may be one, golden nugget or one good takeaway, but I think I got about 10. But I just want to summarize. The best one, and I think you just touched on it again, was that a website should not be a brochure. Your website should serve your customers, and I think you might want to put that up on your website as a quote from Adam Mitchell, because that's pretty powerful stuff. I like that. What about any of the listeners out there that want to get a hold of you to potentially do business with you directly? Do you want to share your contact information, Adam?
Yeah, sure. Let me take a step back. I really don't think I served Gino's question the best I could have. I spoke about just the creative side of things. If you're having a challenge with development, and you want to find web developers to help you, you can certainly look local, but you have to understand when you're going into a redesign, a redevelopment, or you're trying to really build your web presence, there is a big difference between web design and web development. A lot of people will go to a developer and think that they're going to come out with like a Macintosh style website, and instead they end up with this like framework of a thing, and they're like, what the heck is this? This is the one I wanted. But meanwhile, they'll go to a designer and they get this most beautiful artistic thing, but yet it's not online yet. And it's like, hey, what are you going online? You have to remember there's a difference between design and development. One of the things, some of the solutions out there, Gino, that your listeners can check out is Upwork.com. It used to be called Odesk. Or they can go to Elance. I would recommend Upwork. Their platform inside is a little bit more solid than Elance. In fact, at the time of this recording, I wouldn't be surprised if Upwork has absorbed Elance. For those of your listeners out there that have existing websites and they're looking at growing it more and scaling it forward, check out Dribble.com. That's with 3 B's, DRIBBBLE. And here you have a little higher level designers and developers and creators, mostly designers. But you'll be able to go on there and you'll be able to find someone from Bangladesh or India who is very artistic, that will work very closely with you. You're going to spend a little bit more, but that money spent is going to come back at you significantly. You can find designers and developers for $10 an hour on Upwork and Elance. Checking out Dribble for those real professionals, you're going to take it to the next level. And Behance, Behance, is another solution to check out.
That's some pretty good stuff there. So, Gino, anything else for Adam?
The only thing that I would say by wrapping this up is have an entrepreneurial spirit and have an entrepreneurial mind, and always be out there trying to create value for your clients. And that's what I take away from, we're talking about websites here, so I think that would impress that upon everybody. Don't think about yourself. Think about what you can do for your customer. That's the most important thing that I've taken away from this call.
Yeah, get out of that mindset of trying to sell used cars to your customers. Instead, get into the mindset of how can you be the best possible solution provider for them.
Yep, I totally agree with that.
100%. So, Adam, how can folks get a hold of you?
Sure, yeah. Anybody who wants to reach out to me can find me on alloutsolutions.com. Just pretty much spelled out how it sounds, ALLOUTSOLUTIONS, alloutsolutions.com, or they can reach me at adam@alloutsolutions.com. And if you can't find me there, just reach out to Jake and Gino. They know how to get a hold of me.
We will point you in the right direction for a small fee. Just kidding. All right, guys, great call. Appreciate you doing the podcast with us, Adam, and we may do this again in the future.
Awesome.
Adam.
Gino, thanks a lot for the opportunity, guys. I really appreciate it. And I know I've listened to all your other podcasts, and man, you guys are just you're killing it. You're doing incredible service to the people who are listening to you. And this podcast is gonna grow. I know it. I'm so confident in that, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where you guys take this whole thing.
Thanks, Adam, for taking the time out today. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks, guys.
We'll speak soon.
All right.
Thanks.
We trust that you enjoyed the Wheelbarrow Profits podcast. Visit jakeandgino.com, your one-stop shop for everything multifamily. See you next time when Jake and Gino share more of their investing secrets with you.